The dreaded shank. Can't tell you how many times I've had students come to the lesson tee needing that quick fix because they are shanking or hitting the hosel of their club. You're in the right place if you need to learn how to stop shanking the golf ball. I'm Dr. Allison Kurt, PGA and LPGA Master Professional and Top 50 Golf Digest instructor in America. What is a shank? Well, sometimes people misinterpret what a shank is if they mishit the golf club anywhere on the face. But a true shank is when the golf ball is touching the hosel of the club. As the shaft goes into the hosel, we have this joint right here before we get into the face, and sometimes the golf ball touches that spot and it shoots out for a right-handed player dead off to the right. However, I have seen some players that have hit it extremely too far to the right. It looks like a shank, but it's actually touching the toe of the club. And so that would not be considered a shank, or you'd have to use the word toe shank. So this would end up going straight to the right. But the one that we're going to talk about in this video today is the one that connects on the hosel. And when we have the ball and the hosel connecting, that golf ball is going to ricochet. It's going to feel awful up into the grip. So let's learn how we can fix it. Now, as we have different types of movements that can create a shank, one of the most prominent ones that I see is when players start to get balance towards their toes, which then shoves the club farther away from them. So you'll look at the hands and what we call the hand path and the direction the hands are moving through impact. If the hands start to move away from the body, in order to calibrate the balance, players are going to start to move towards their toes, and oftentimes they'll try to finish swinging back to the left, yet they've already lost their balance towards the toes. So one thing I want you to check first if you're shanking any shots is that you're maintaining some balance directly behind the balls of your feet. So we start sort of right behind the balls of our feet, and we're maintaining some pressure underneath our arches. And of course, throughout the swing, pressure is going to move throughout our feet. What you want to be careful of is that the pressure isn't moving towards the toes, because when it does move towards the toes, it's going to then move the club out and away from you. So what I've got set up is an impact bag. It's a bag that's filled with some soft towels. You can hit it, it doesn't hurt, and this is a very easy way to stop the shanks if you're finding that your balance and the golf club is moving out and away from you. You're going to set the golf club really close to the impact bag to where the toe is almost touching the impact bag, but give yourself a little bit of room so that you don't touch it. Without using a golf ball, let's do some practice swings and see if we can swing without touching the impact bag. You're essentially creating a little bit of a gate here, and you're trying to keep yourself accountable that if you were to get towards your toes, all of a sudden the toe of the club would hit the impact bag. That would result in one of your shanks. Or if you got the club moving too shallow out to the right, if I got it really, really shallow and I get towards my toes and my balance is off, the club's moving out to the right, the ball is going to touch the hosel. So we want to try to manage the balance underneath our feet, keep that club working down the line and then circling back towards the left, so that we keep the club working in its arc. I'm just taking some easy 3/4 swings here. Now I feel like I've got a good sense. I'm not going to shank the shot. I'm feeling that the toe is moving through the impact bag without touching it. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of room, maybe 2-3 fingers width in between the toe of my club and the golf ball. And as I maintain the balance here, I'm going to go ahead and take an easy swing and making sure that my hands are passing through in this direction and not moving farther away from me. Okay, so I moved through without touching the impact bag. If we were to have that balance moving towards the toe, or the club being too shallow, or a whole plethora of things that can cause the shank, what you're really just going to see is the club moves farther away from you. And if the club is moving farther away from you, why don't we just block that area? It's a non-thinking way to start fixing the shank. If this is blocking me, then I'm certainly as an athlete going to avoid hitting that piece. So we call that a constraints practice. I'm actually constrained by this bag to not swing the club this direction, causing the shank. So I'm going to be able to block myself and train myself to move the club in the proper direction. Good. Now, what you're going to start to notice is a couple of toe shots because there's going to be a fear of wanting to hit this object. And you may even find that your subconscious starts to pick up and bring the club even a little closer to you. That's okay in the beginning. If we need to stop the shank immediately, well, this is the place that we can stop it by having this area blocked so the club can't move through. So again, if I'm blocking that area, I'm holding myself accountable so that I can swing through, and I'm also bringing my attention to the focus of my feet so that I'm not moving towards the toes, getting closer to the golf ball, letting that hosel run in there, staying balanced, and being able to work myself through. So if you're in a bind and you need to stop the shanks, the first place that I'd advise you to look at is the balance in your feet. That's going to give us some clues as to whether the club is moving away from you, causing the ball to touch the hosel. Then if we use some instruments such as the impact bag or something outside the toe of the club, it's going to keep you accountable for moving the club in the right direction and avoiding it moving out and away from you. This is going to be your #1 way to stop the shanks. So if you like this video, stay tuned for more, hit like, subscribe, and we'll see you for more.